A young woman, full of promise and excitement for the future, vanishes from her home in the dead of night, leaving behind only unsettling clues. What seemed like a tragic disappearance soon became a chilling mystery that shook an entire community. A story that begins with hope and ends in heartbreak. Alicia Ross was born on February 8, 1980, in Markham, Ontario, Canada. From the start, she was embraced by a loving family after being adopted as a baby. Although her parents eventually divorced, Alicia chose to live with her mother, though she maintained a close relationship with her father. Despite the challenges of her parents' separation, Alicia thrived in a nurturing environment where her family remained supportive. Alicia's childhood was marked by her love for the outdoors, with a particular passion for canoeing. She spent countless hours on Lake Ontario, paddling across its vast expanse. This love for the water became so ingrained in her life that she later shared her knowledge, teaching children how to canoe at local camps. Her bond with nature, combined with her easygoing personality, made her someone who felt at peace both on land and water. In her professional life, Alicia found success as well. After finishing school, she joined Hewlett-Packard's Canadian branch in a sales position. She quickly earned recognition for her diligence and reliability, impressing colleagues and superiors alike. She was focused on building a stable career and seemed to be on track for a bright future. At the time of her disappearance, Alicia was still living with her mother, who had remarried. Together, they created a separate living space in the basement, giving Alicia the independence she sought while staying close to her family. Her life, full of promise, was about to take a tragic turn. On the evening of August 16, 2005, Alicia Ross, 25 years old, went for a walk with her mother and their dogs. She was in high spirits, sharing the exciting news of her promotion, which was set to be announced the following day. After returning home, her boyfriend, Sean Hine, came by to congratulate her. They spent a few hours together, and around midnight, Sean left for his own home. The next day, Alicia failed to answer multiple calls from Sean, which immediately raised his concerns. He drove to her house and noticed that her car was still parked outside. Alarmed, he knocked on her door, but there was no response. Walking around to the back of the house, he found the gate wide open and Alicia's shoes, an empty cup, and a pack of cigarettes lying on the grass. These signs prompted Sean to call the police. When Alicia's parents arrived, several police cars were already at the scene. Officers searched the house, but found no signs of forced entry or a struggle. However, they discovered unsettling details inside her room. Alicia's bed was neatly made, clothes were folded and left out to be put away, and her ring, which she always removed before bed, was sitting on the bathroom sink. Her purse, keys, and phone were all still on the table. Despite the lack of visible clues, police quickly recognized the situation as suspicious. Alicia had vanished without a trace. Her belongings were left behind, suggesting she had not left willingly. As the search began, it became clear that something darker was at play. The investigation into Alicia Ross's disappearance began immediately after Sean reported her missing. Police were quick to examine the scene and question Sean, the last person to see Alicia. His behavior raised suspicion, as he had called the police before reaching out to Alicia's family, which seemed unusual for someone concerned about a loved one's well-being. Despite this, he insisted that he was worried and had no idea what had happened to her. Officers combed through the house, noting the absence of any signs of a struggle. Yet Alicia's missing night routine and the scattered items in the backyard painted a troubling picture. Her shoes, a cup, and a pack of cigarettes by the open gate hinted that something sinister had occurred. It was as though Alicia had been taken by surprise, just after saying goodbye to her boyfriend. As police continued their investigation, suspicions began to shift toward Sean. His refusal to take a polygraph test, coupled with his increasing reluctance to cooperate with authorities, made him appear even more suspicious in the public eye. Though Sean was not initially considered a prime suspect, the media and the public had already begun to doubt his involvement, especially after it was reported that he thought of himself as the prime suspect. In the absence of solid leads, detectives focused on the theory that Alicia had been abducted by someone who knew her well. They believed the person who took her may have been familiar with her routine, given the lack of witnesses and the fact that no one heard her scream. The investigation began to turn in circles, as the police struggled to uncover new information, but they were left without a clear direction. The investigation took a startling turn on September 20th, 2005, when Daniel Sylvester, Alicia Ross's next-door neighbor, walked into the police station with his lawyer and confessed to killing Alicia. Daniel, 31 years old, explained that on the night of August 17th, around 1:30 a.m., he went outside for a walk and encountered Alicia in the narrow alleyway between their homes. According to Daniel, Alicia was startled to see him standing there in the dark. She questioned his presence, and an argument ensued. Daniel claimed that when Alicia insulted him, he lost control. His anger escalated, and he struck her, knocking her to the ground. As Alicia tried to defend herself, Daniel continued to hit her, eventually slamming her head against the stone walkway several times until she stopped moving. Realizing she was no longer breathing, Daniel confessed that he had killed her. After the attack, Daniel described how he panicked and froze for several minutes, unsure of what to do. He then decided to hide the body. He dragged Alicia's lifeless body into his garage, washed the blood from the walkway with a garden hose, and lined the trunk of his mother's car with cardboard. Daniel stripped both himself and Alicia, placing the clothes into trash bags. He wrapped her head in rags and duct tape to stop the bleeding before placing her in the trunk of the car. The confession was chilling, and Daniel even reenacted his actions for the detectives. Afterward, he drove an hour to a remote swampy area near Manila, Ontario, where he disposed of Alicia's body. The case that had seemed impossible to solve now had a clear suspect and a shocking resolution. The trial of Daniel Sylvester began in May 2007, nearly 2 years after Alicia Ross's tragic death. Daniel faced charges of second-degree murder, and the proceedings quickly became a focal point of the Canadian legal system. Sylvester's defense team sought to plead him guilty to manslaughter, arguing that the killing was not premeditated, but occurred in the heat of the moment. However, the court rejected this plea, and the case proceeded with the charge of second-degree murder. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence suggesting that Daniel had been watching Alicia for a long time. They speculated that his obsession had built up over time, leading to the violent confrontation on the night of August 17, 2005. According to the prosecution, Daniel had been spying on Alicia, and when he encountered her that night, he saw an opportunity to attack. They emphasized that Daniel had numerous chances to stop the assault but chose not to, continuing his violent attack even after Alicia was down. The defense, however, argued that Daniel acted impulsively, overwhelmed by years of social isolation, bullying, and his struggles with anxiety and depression. They claimed that the insult from Alicia triggered his violent response, and he never intended to kill her. But as the trial progressed, a key piece of evidence came to light. Daniel had confessed to violent fantasies about women and had a history of inappropriate behavior, such as exposing himself to strangers. This revelation made the jury question whether Daniel's actions were truly an accident or if he had planned the attack. After deliberation, the jury found Daniel Sylvester guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 16 years. The conviction shocked the community, as Daniel had never been considered a suspect until he confessed. The murder of Alicia Ross left a deep emotional scar on her family, friends, and the community. On October 6, 2005, more than 50 days after Alicia's disappearance, hundreds gathered for a farewell service at a synagogue in Toronto. The funeral was a heart-wrenching moment for those who had known Alicia, with 500 mourners paying their respects. Alicia's parents, Sharon and Michael Fortis, found solace in their grief through the creation of a memorial fund in Alicia's name. The fund was established to sponsor canoe lessons for children at the national park she had loved so much, keeping her passion for the outdoors alive in her memory. In the months following the trial, Alicia's family continued to honor her legacy. The media, which had initially focused on Sean Hine as the prime suspect, later apologized for the wrongful assumptions that had been made about him. Sean, devastated by the loss of his girlfriend and the public suspicion, expressed his grief publicly. The case also sparked widespread discussions about the dangers of social isolation, mental health struggles, and the unpredictable nature of violent outbursts. The cultural impact of Alicia's death remained significant, shaping conversations around safety, justice, and the fragility of life.